Well, let's go ahead and put on those scarlet-colored glasses and talk all things Husker football. And we have quite a bit of um, clips from Mickey Joseph there. I think it was a pretty good press conference overall, especially for someone who hasn't been a head coach, at least anywhere near this level. And what did you glean mostly from that, Honk?
Well, what I really was impressed with was it wasn't perfect at the beginning. He stumbled on a few words, and we could get really critiquing. I could bring out the Toastmaster in me and count the ums and ahs, but the reality is that's not what's important. And that's
don't do that to me on this show. I have too many ums and ahs.
Oh Jesus! I when I re-listen to myself, I'm like, oh no, there's certain things I say over and over again, but it's not about that. And Trev made it not about that on Sunday. I mean, Trev said it doesn't matter who wins the press conference. Now, for what it's worth, I think Joseph kind of did win the press conference too. I mean, he started to move and shift the focus to Oklahoma. He answered all the questions about the defense that was asked. He talked about his chances and what he needs to do to win it. He gave praise to Frost where he needed to. I mean, there's a lot of things that were hit on here. First, I want to kind of like focus on this first part here where he talked about his chance, a little bit of what his chances with the head coaching role, and we'll go from there.
I think when you accept the interim job as a head coach, I think that's the opportunity that you're working for, is to become the head coach. But we understand what goes along with this profession. It's wins and losses, and that's what it's going to depend on.
There is such a no-nonsense to him. And this isn't brand new. I mean, we were saying this back in January when he was first brought on. All offseason, he would call people out that he was coaching if they needed it. He wasn't afraid to do that. And one thing for certain that's kind of happened over the course of the last 4 years is that there were definitely excuses for when things didn't go right, or there was always some reason why it didn't go right. And I think at the very least here, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to go out and win every game or win any games coming out of here, but I think we're going to get what Mickey is thinking during it. I mean, he's going to tell you his thoughts, and it's going to be pretty unfiltered. I'm pretty sure for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that will be, I mean, that could be refreshing. We'll see. Maybe that will. I think it will land a lot better if we can win some games, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's changes that need to be made to win games. I don't think we can just simply say, hey, we just take Frost out, put Mickey in his place, and all of a sudden we're winning football games. No, I mean, there's fundamental changes, some things that have to happen. Real quick here, this is one that Mickey talked about with the practice schedule that they're going to change up.
The practice schedule, just the off day. The off day is now going to be on Mondays. We'll bring them in on Sundays. But everything else will stay the same.
I was driving by there this morning, and they were practicing in the morning. And you get to think about that. It's like they can't really, just from, class schedules and everything, Frost has always been a morning practice person. Well, even if Mickey today said, nope, I want to go in the afternoon. I want to go at 3:30 like we used to back in the 80s. It's not like he can make that change. You've got schedules and students.
There's class schedules in particular.
Class schedules and labs and all that.
Athletes are still a thing, right?
So, yeah. That still means something. So you can't just do that to him. But what he can do, and this limited amount of changes that he can make this quickly, they're going from having the off day being Sunday, and then they would practice on Monday. Now they're going to come in on Sunday, and they'll have Monday essentially off there. So I don't know what to make out of that from an immediate standpoint. If we beat Oklahoma, I'm not sure I can, everyone in the country, everyone's going to start taking Monday off then, but I'll start taking Monday off. Why not?
That's right. It's a good idea. Hey, Rob, you back?
Yeah. Sorry. All that talk about Scott Frost and his personal life and all that other crap bored me so much. I turned off my internet.
Well, we're glad you're back, and we have turned the page
to
talking about Oklahoma and Mickey Joseph. So I think you'll like that.
Oh, well, absolutely, because 58-24 Huskers. Joseph goes 9-0 to end the season. Is that what we're saying?
There's the Redcast Rob that we all know and love. The Kool-Aid is being drunk. Honk, what other video do you want to hit on here? There's so much out of this presser.
Well, this one was interesting to me, and he was asked about a player. And I couldn't understand, so maybe someone else knows what player he's referring to, but that a player during a summer interview made some reference to this being a losing culture, and it was a new player. Do you
Was
know
it over
Dave?
summer or was it O'Shawn's
I took it as O'Shawn's comments.
Okay, was that it?
So
that
leaving on Sunday, he got quoted as saying that it seems like it's a losing culture.
So it's a losing culture, and so they kind of asked Mickey about that, and I thought he had a really interesting answer here.
We haven't been winning here, okay? But I wouldn't say it's a losing culture, because a losing culture is kids that don't come to work. Now these kids don't play in a lot of tight games. I don't think they ever been blown out. They play in a lot of tight games. So now we got to figure out how to get them over the hump. How to get over the hump, and then I got to do a better job with the players before they go to interviews and make comments like that.
I really like that. I love that. That was a quote of the presser for me almost. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the point that you can argue. I mean, look, we were 16-31 or whatever it was. So I don't know if it's a losing culture, but we had a lot of losses. But to his point, they're close. So many of them were close. I mean we have to find a way to get over whatever that gap is in each individual game, because it is a different gap each time. It's a different inch that we seem to have to keep getting over. But at the same token, we also don't say that in the press conference, and that's him taking control over that team and saying, "Look, this is how we're going to do it moving forward, and this is how we're going to talk moving forward." And that's setting a culture right there too. That's him setting a culture and a standard as the coach, saying, "This is how we're going to talk about ourselves when we get in front of the press." So that was probably my favorite quote from the entire presser.
Agreed. What else we got, Hunk?
I thought he was going to.
Yeah, I thought I was expecting another transition there. So
no, good chat, guys.
Good work, guys.
Hey, guys, have a good night. Go Big Red.
No, a couple more here. This is something that this is consistent with what Trev was saying on Sunday. He was asked about being Nebraska's first black head coach, at not just in football, but in any sport.
Like I said, it's about Nebraska football. It's bigger than me. I haven't really thought about that, because I've been a football coach. I've been a black football coach all my life, but I haven't thought about that. I'm more concerned about the boys and getting the boys ready to play on Saturday. It's bigger than me.
He's never thought about that. Didn't even dawn on him, because he's busy doing the job, but also that this job, it's bigger than him, bigger than the individual. And that was something that Trev came out right away and said on Sunday when announcing the firing of Frost, was that this program is bigger than any one individual. And that counts for Trev too. I mean, this is bigger than Trev. This is bigger than any one person. And I guess, again, without trying to create narratives and everything, Mickey's answering a question there honestly, but he's also simply he keeps pulling it back to, this is not about him. This is about the program. This is about Oklahoma this weekend. This is how we're going to talk to the media. This is how we're going to interact with each other. I mean, it is, if nothing else, he is, in every little step that he's doing here, he's trying to create his culture. We'll use the word. He's creating his culture of how we're going to at least act for the next 9 games. And he's not wasting any time to do that.
That question bothered me too. I mean, I get the historical significance of it, but at the same time, that wasn't really the time or the place for it. Considering what we're talking about from an overall perspective of Husker football, right? And like what we're coming up with on the Oklahoma game. Like, I'm sure it's something in retrospect, but this is the guy's first day on the job, right? He's moving into, Oklahoma week. He's got 9 games ahead of him, and to me, it was almost like the same, like, oh, so how long have you been a black quarterback? You know what I mean? And it's like, from like what?
Yeah, I don't know if
it just had a weird.
You, Rob.
Watching it live, it was just, for me, it was like, oh God, did you really, like? That was my first thought. Was like, did you really have to ask that now?
Yeah, I don't know when's the right time to ask that question, to be honest with you. But yeah. I would say that, I mean, like, I think he answered it really well.
Yeah.
And I think when
Well, he did.
when
I
this is
don't-
all over, whenever he's no longer the interim head coach or the head coach or whatever, he'll have time to reflect back on that.
Yeah.
But it's illuminating that, I mean, I'm glad that Mickey Joseph is our first African American head coach.
Yes.
Because it's long overdue that it's never
Couldn't
happened
be a
in
better
any
guy.
sport, right?
Yeah.
So I think we can just leave it at that. But
Yeah, I agree,
think
Dave. I think he handled it really well, and
Yeah.
I do, and I think like Honky said, he redirected it back to the program, which is exactly what he was doing the entire press conference. I'm sorry, I just had to put that out there because it just kind of gave me like a weird twinge feeling when that question was asked. Like, really, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. It's, I mean, but it is there, and I think he answered it well and acknowledged it, right? So that's good.
Mhm. And it wouldn't be a presser about a new football coach here if we didn't ask at least has Osborne talked to him yet. And Coach Osborne has
That's
spoke
right.
with Joseph, and I thought it brought a little bit of humor to it here.
Well, he still talks to me like I'm a 19-year-old, but that's cool. But he gave me good advice that he believes in what I'm going to do, and discuss what he thinks we need to do. And I don't think I need to go into that, what our conversation was about. But he still believes in Nebraska football, and he's still a wise guy. He's really wise. His wisdom is still there. So it's good. It was good to talk to him yesterday, and I'll do that weekly with him.
I felt like a 12-year-old when we were talking to Osborne. So
You acted like one.
probably with a tie. It was a zipper tie, but no. And I thought that was interesting. Him saying he'll talk with him weekly, and some people, you get a little bit of the sense on Twitter that people are like, they're annoyed. They get annoyed where it's like, can we hire somebody without having to talk to Osborne? Can we do something without having to have Osborne? I have no issue with this, but we have one of the greatest coaches of all time living right here in the city, and he still likes to be involved. And all these people, whether it was Frost or it's Mickey now or it's Trev as the AD, all of them played for Coach. I think it's good to get someone that has a perspective that is so unique, and that is what he has. I mean, he was the coach here for so long. He was an athletic director here. He was on the inaugural college football playoff committee, picking them. I mean, this is somebody that has a lot of football knowledge and football experience. And just like Trev said, when he's talking about looking for the next head coach, he's going to talk to a lot of people. He's going to use his football connections and football experience, because you're going to learn a lot by talking to people that know a lot of football. And so I think that's a really wise move from Mickey to want to talk to Coach and to talk to him even on a weekly basis, like he said.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I saw some great media posts saying that, Mickey was going to bring Coach Owen as the D-line coach, but I don't think that's going to happen. But he does have an impressive network of other coaches that he can lean on, including his brother, who was an NFL head coach and is the D coordinator of the Arizona Cardinals right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that was something that he was talking. Yeah, we'll talk about here in Throwing the Bones when he starts to get into defense and he gets questions about that as an offensive coach, and he's like, well, you got to know the other side if you're coaching one, and his brother is a great example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is going to be interesting. Maybe this is worth a little bit of discussion before we get to the last offensive video, is like, how as the wide receivers coach, and as I believe most of his coaching tenure has been on the offensive side of the ball. Now, he was a head coach at some smaller levels, but how can he manage an entire program and both have offense and defense oversight? I think he had some good responses to that too. But that'll be a critical part of his transition, is to be able to do that.
Well, I also found it interesting too, because he did say he talks to his brother and his cousin every single day, right? And those guys are giving him some input on, like, hey, here's maybe a tweak or two that you can throw into this defense to do this. And that could be a reason for a couple of, just like, I won't say coaching changes, but coaching movements that he made right there, like, you know, they announced today, right? Like saying, okay, because you need 2 guys back here in the backfield, safeties and corners, right? Like that's because those are 2 different sets of eyes that are watching the field. So you need 2 different perspectives. I thought it was, I think, you know, and that's the thing is as bad as much as I loved Vance Joseph in Denver.
Very funny, Ryan.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm hilarious.
Well,
you know, I think he's always been known as a great defensive mind, and it'll be interesting to see if any of that knowledge that he gives to Mickey bleeds over onto the field.